Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. In today's episode, I want to start by exploring the macro trends of Matic. So Matic actually did a 240x. This is something that the Crypto Kings brought to my attention quite some time ago, and it's formulated part of my thesis around Pulsechain eventually exploding. So I want to look at the similarities between Matic and Pulsechain, and then really, why is everybody so depressed? Like, even on the timeline, to be perfectly honest, I think maybe I'm getting more and more immune to it, but it really seems like everyone's so depressed on the timeline because of the price charts. And I don't really see it like this. It's really, the only thing that I'm depressed about is that I really can't buy any more. I can't buy any more stuff. I got no money. That's the only thing that I'm depressed about. So yeah, I mean, I've put DAIpressed, but really it applies to all of the Atropa ecosystem. So in any case, everyone seems a little bit depressed, which is kind of sad. So I'm hoping that this video will bring some hope to people, because it really, everyone just starts to turn on each other when things are going bad. It's kind of the same story over and over and over and over and over again for humans. So we all pretend to love each other, and yeah, we're so great when things are green and everybody's happy, and this is the best community. And then when things start to go red, it's like everyone's just so vile to each other. It's really yeah, it's just the same story. So anyway, as always, for me, the Atropa ecosystem is really a force of good for Pulsechain. I continuously observe the fact that the Atropa ecosystem as a whole, the Atropa movement as a whole, seems to attract people that are more positively minded, more grateful, less antagonistic, less negative. So I really want to continue being the force of that and muster that kind of energy. So let's gratefully observe what's actually happening also within the Atropa ecosystem, pDAI, teddy bear. And also I want to show people how they can figure out for themselves whether tokens are mintable or not. So, all right, so let's get this chart up first. So this is Matic. So Matic was launched in April of 2019. So this is log. And then obviously, I mean, everyone looks at charts like this. So I'm seeing charts like this all over, like, as particularly with Hex, and everyone's like, Hex is so shit, it's so dead. And I mean, I mean, I'll look at something like Matic, and it's kind of the same, really. I mean, that's really looking quite similar to the Hex chart. So, but in any case, so this is weekly candles. So I'll put it on log. So basically, from April of 2019 until pretty much December of 2020, Matic was sideways. So Matic, it had like a little, had a big pump out of the gate, right? That's what we were really hoping was going to happen with Pulsechain, and it did. We had what? I think it was almost like if you were a whale, you got yourself like a 5x. That was the big mistake that I made. But yeah, there was still a 2x there for people that wanted to take it. And I know for myself, I felt extreme euphoria because there was all this tension and build up, and Pulsechain's finally released. So there was this extreme euphoria, and really should have been the signs of, okay, this is a top. But anyway, obviously Pulsechain had like a massive dump. Now, Matic really didn't do anything, and it's a brand new layer one, brand new blockchain. Did what, 300%, another 350% for like a year and a half. So it really didn't do much. And I know Pulsechain from the bottom, I'll bring, and I mean, look, and then basically at this particular point, then it really started to boom, and this was at the very end of the cycle. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, how do I do that? That's how I do it. So I'll bring up a secondary chart. So here I'll do the same. I'll do weekly. And so this is Pulsechain. So yeah, Pulsechain from top to bottom has had a 600%. So that's, I mean, besides the very first movement out of the gate, that's better. This is obviously not, this is on TradingView. So this is not a full, this is not a full chart. It only shows it from August. Obviously, we've got the massive SEC dump, the massive dump out of the gate. But I know that Matic was one of the last ones to run. So if we look at, say, I don't know, just for example, Cardano, and yeah, all these lines here is this is all my like back testing. Damn it, Cardano doesn't give me because this is with Pepperstone. I'm just going to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin's not the best example. Is Ethereum going to give me more data? Okay, good. Ethereum. So if we see basically this is again on the weekly, Ethereum really started to pump kind of the same time as Matic. So the end of actually, okay. So yeah, the 28th of the week of the 28th of December 2020, kind of the same thing here. Or yeah, I mean really, yeah, the 28th is when it really started to turn around. So yeah, we still haven't really seen any like gigantic pumps with Ethereum. I mean, okay, we've had a pump here, but yeah, okay, we've also had the same thing in Pulsechain. So yeah, for me, it's like the layer ones. I mean, look, it did nothing. It did nothing, and then it exploded from the local bottom. It exploded and basically did, what's that? That's a 240x or thereabouts. So I'm not saying Pulsechain is going to do a 240x, but the fact that it exploded after doing pretty much nothing for a year and a half, it's just one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at Pulsechain. It's a big, fat, heavy layer one. And I think if you've made the decision to really stick with the core coins, then this is unfortunately whether we like it or not, this seems to be the destiny of the core coins. If you really want to make the gains, I mean, you can't really fault Somi's portfolio setup. I don't have that kind of a portfolio setup where he has 10% in core coin. 10% in lottery tickets. I'm very much inverse of that. I'm more like 90% in things that I think are going to move, and 10% in cores. I don't even really have those kinds of percentages. But as soon as I saw that everything else was really moving and the core coins weren't, I pivoted. Does it mean that I hate the core coins? No, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's like, do we want to win, or do we want to just stay in something and have a fixed mindset? And if you want to have a fixed mindset and stay in it, there's completely nothing wrong with that. But to be depressed by it when there's things like this in Matic, there's no need to be depressed. That's what I'm saying. We still have the resolution of the SEC case coming up. There's Donald Trump. I mean, touch wood. He gets there safely on the 20th of January. So I think it's now going to be, it's the 6th in Australia. So now the Americans are going to be starting to wake up. I think it's 6th everywhere now in the world. There's like a key date today. So it'll be an interesting indicator to see if there's any kind of pump now with Trump. The other thing to look out for is Trump has promised a lot of things. Basically, on the first day that he's starting, he's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. So if he starts delivering on those things straight off the bat, then it's, in my opinion, a big sign of bullishness, because he's actually delivering on his promises. So, yeah, for me, we still have the SEC case that's going to get, hopefully, fingers crossed, dismissed. And if that gets dismissed, then it's very bullish, because it just means big whales and big money that doesn't want to take those unnecessary risks. They don't need to take the unnecessary risk. Big whales don't need to take unnecessary risks. There's literally thousands of cryptos to choose from. Why would you come somewhere where there's this looming case over it? You wouldn't. It's really that simple. But if it gets dismissed, it's very, very bullish. Then we have Trump. So for me, it's like, yeah, just seeing the depression is kind of, it's a bit sad, to be honest. It's a bit sad. So yeah, I also look at the liquidity on PulseX. So if we go to the liquidity on PulseX, the liquidity is basically up and to the right. Obviously, now the liquidity is also pretty much broken its previous all-time high on PulseX, and there's obviously other dexes as well where there's going to be even more liquidity. So overall, the liquidity on Pulsechain is increasing. There's other things like DeFi Llama, which you can use to look at these sorts of metrics. So for me, things are up and to the right. We're getting more influencers up and to the right. Shill Gates, I saw him do a tweet today where he was talking to a friend who's like a big influencer with like hundreds of thousands of followers. He's like, I've never even heard of Pulsechain. Why has nobody been talking about this before? A lot of people really don't even know what it is. So it's like, okay, we're better off putting our energy into talking about it positively, and not just like, I don't know actually. I don't know what the strategy is. What did Richard tell us to do? Well, not what did he suggest is like the next level of marketing. The next level of marketing is like how to even get into Pulsechain, how to even use things like Pulsechain and DeFi, because I really do think the DeFi narrative, although it's like not interesting, it's not like a memes to a million X or whatever within a day. It's going to be something that's going to last in the long term. And so when you even look at Murad talking about talking points that Richard's been talking about from ever since I've been listening to Richard, when he's been talking about these talking points, and he has like hundreds of thousands of people engaging with every single one of his tweets from outside of just one ecosystem, he is now starting to talk about things that you have to stand up for things that actually mean something. It has to be a movement. And I'm like, bro, we got like freedom of movement, freedom of speech over here. Like we're literally like this blockchain is literally going to be fighting for the rights of cryptocurrency, and nobody in the mainstream's talking about it. It's just an echo chamber. And it's just like it's literally, yeah. So our job more is, as a decentralized community, is to really just keep positively putting the information out there, not attacking each other when things go red. It's like, it's what a waste of energy, what a waste of time. There is literally nothing. There's nothing that comes of it. There is literally nothing that comes from that. It's like, I mean, to be honest, it's the equivalent of just jacking off to porn. There's no positive outcome there. Like there's no net positive there. It's just a net negative forever. You're just simping out over a girl that you're never going to get, and you deplete energy that could be better expelled on something else. It's the same as arguing on Twitter. There's really no difference. So yeah, being a positive force is really what I think is more important, and really hopefully seeing more and more people talk about the Atropa ecosystem, because I think DeFi is going to be something that's going to be a big narrative with this. We saw Chamath talk about stablecoins. We're going to see like the disillusionment of people with chasing meme coins. Okay, this is going to be a meme cycle. I completely agree with that, but they're going to be disillusioned with that after a while. That it's not meme coins. They'll continue to have a use case, but it's not going to be like, it's just the narrative now. It's like, we had the ICO wave, we had it was Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then the ICO wave, whatever the waves are. Like now it's the meme coin wave. There was the DeFi wave, DeFi summer. There was the AI, the metaverse. I'm not saying necessarily that DeFi is going to have like a renaissance, but I think there's a high potential that it can have a renaissance, and we actually have a truly decentralized financial system being built with the Atropa ecosystem, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's trying to work this stuff out, which is really frustrating. It's really frustrating because I want other people to talk about it. I want other people to learn about it so I can learn from you guys as well. Instead of me just talking about it and everyone getting the information from me, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I want to hear other people talk about it and try to like philosophize and theorize what's going on and try to see on the blockchain and the evidence, because all this stuff is like, it's like pulling teeth for me as well. It's not an easy thing. It's quite a stressful thing. I'm not going to lie. So anyway, yeah, for me, everything's still like, what, things are down, but so what? Like, it's just a buying opportunity. So Millions, good to see you in here, man. I'm not sure if I've ever seen you in here, but it's been good interacting with you on Twitter. What's going on? Was Pedro, good to see you, bro. With the Hopium and Alpha. Hopium, yeah, let's say positivity rather than Hopium. Hopium seems to Hopium's kind of like this. For me, it's almost like a negative thing, because it's really just trying to like give false hope where there is no hope. But for me, all the metrics are up and to the right. So I don't see any reason to be concerned. I really see no reason whatsoever to be concerned. So what's going on, Clintrons? Thank you for your hard work. Great to hear your thoughts. Nice, man. Thanks, Premier Crypto Now. What's going on, Jordel? Hey, Fatina. Exactly, 609 days it went sideways. Pulse is at 602 days. Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. So if we have this dismissal that's coming up anytime now, it's going to happen within the next, 30 days or something. Trump is going to get inaugurated. He takes over the White House on the 20th of January. So I mean, yeah, I think we're going to be looking back on these moments and, oh, I wish I bought more. I wish I did this and I wish and I wish and I wish, but it's too late for that. It's too late for that. Now's the time where we really have to stand in our convictions. If you've done the research and in your mind you have conviction because of the research that you've done, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. But if you haven't done the research, then of course there's going to be a lot of fear because you're just expecting, you have the expectation that it's going to go up and you have the expectation that other people are going to do the work for you to make it go up. And if that's the case, which I see a lot of that all over Twitter, then it's only really going to produce negative emotions. So yeah, again, I don't see a reason to be negative. I don't see a reason to lose hope. That's just me. Maybe I'm delusional. Let's see. We're gonna see in a year's time whether I'm delusional or not. So yeah, really, the only thing that I'm depressed about, I don't have enough to buy more pDAI. I don't have enough to buy more Atropa tokens. I have to say, I'm feeling pretty. For a moment there, I was almost going to say cocky. There was a slight sensation of cockiness because I was saying it's going to go down to 1 cent, and not everybody, I shouldn't say that, but people were really like shitting on me for that. No one else was, to the best of my knowledge, no one else was saying that, and I certainly wasn't expecting this to happen. But the fact that it's coming down here, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about that. I feel really good that anyone who's been like waiting for these dips and really trusts the. I'm not saying these things out of like, oh, it's going to go down to 1.1 cents and I'm making like this speculative guess. I'm looking at the data. I'm formulating a thesis based on the data. And the data that I've consistently looked at is the ratios between Atropa to pDAI, which has like tens and tens of millions in it. So yeah, I mean, look, it's the same story here. So now it's doing exactly the same as what it did. Hang on, log is all right. So when it was going sideways sideways is like this sideways action. Oh, goodness me, I've forgotten which is which of these charts. I think what did I have? Oh my gosh. All right, so log is not the way to go because I've got these charts here. It actually looks much nicer like this. I forgot which one this was. That's right. This was pDAI and this was down. I keep forgetting about this. So yeah, when it was going sideways, that value, so this is down. So when down is going up, the Atropa ecosystem is going down. So as this is going sideways, Atropa to DAI, the value of down is going up against Atropa, which means the Atropa ecosystem is going down. So as this is going sideways, the Atropa ecosystem is going down. So what are we seeing here? This is going sideways. And I started to look at this. I started to see it going sideways. And I'm saying, okay, I'm thinking if we continue this trend, because there has to be, it can't just go up and to the right forever. It's just not logical. It just doesn't do that. It has ebbs and flows. That's nature's flow, right? That's just the market psychology, the market flows. So we're seeing the same thing. So as it was going sideways, things are going down. So yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Again, if I have any depression, it's because I don't have enough to accumulate anymore. That's the thing that sucks. So same thing with down. So it's kind of a bit of a different, it's like we're in a bit of a different phase. Can this happen? Can this happen where we've got this sideways happening here, and then we had this pop-up with down to Atropa, and this pop-up with down to Atropa was a big drop in Atropa. Can that actually happen? Can we see that happen with this? Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility. There's a possibility that something like this could happen over the next 2 weeks before Trump gets in. Who knows? People will start taking profits. Maybe market makers will drive the prices down with the expectation that things are going to be really bullish when Trump becomes the official president. This could happen. And if this happens, then at least have your mind prepared. It's like, okay, if this is happening, instead of freaking out at the candles, I'm going to do the analysis on the chain and go, all right, this is what's happening. I'm seeing down go up, which means funds being cycled into down. This is actually not a bad thing. This is a good thing. It's just part of the ebbs and flows of the markets. This is just the same as like, when stocks rotate into gold, when it's risk on and risk off. It's kind of this same kind of idea. It's like risk on, risk off. So if this starts to happen, it probably means that we're going to continue to get more of a drop here. I don't really see it getting like wildly low, but this price action tells me it could dip below the 1 cent mark. It's not outside of the realms of possibility. I think we've seen a lot of the bullish reaccumulation happening within these types of candles. But who knows? Who knows? This is all just speculation. I think, wasn't Maddie having like a pDAI conference coming up soon, Maddie Allen? So yeah, I don't know. So for me, again, I'm just looking at this and I just see opportunity. I just see like, wow. So anyway, I wanted to go through this tweet as well from Asian PulseX Quant, because I thought it was a cool little read up yesterday. So I want to go over this little read up. So the multi-billion-dollar case for teddy bears. So for me, Richard with his teddy bear. So for me, still, teddy bear is still going to be the premier meme coin in all of Pulsechain, and in my opinion, in all of cryptocurrency. I think it has a very, very strong possibility for that. So this is definitely something that the crypto kings are putting all their energy into. So teddy bear has been more than a meme on Pulsechain for over 18 months. And it was created by the 414 dev Maria Rahel. So after watching the birth of Atropa, Teddy has been a blue chip in the 414 ecosystem, rising from 100K market cap to an all-time high of 120 million. Man, the crypto kings were talking about this when it was 40K market cap. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So its meteoric rise has been thanks to its community and steady hands of the 414 dev, who is one of the largest holders. Murad famously called the meme coin super cycle, and Teddy has ticked every box in the variables required for a successful meme token, i.e. survived multiple 90% dumps, community of non-stop shillers, top token holders such as 414, crypto kings not selling lows or buying back large amounts when selling, and a cult-like adherence to the bigger picture of pDAI and Atropa. This is the ace up the sleeve. This is the ace up the sleeve. The Death Star power of liquidity that can come from the rest of the Atropa ecosystem, that can come from the rest of, like, just pumping pDAI, just pDAI pumping as a narrative is going to pump also teddy bear as well. But then we have all this liquidity from the hundreds and hundreds of pools that can flow into teddy bear. That's what makes it completely unique. So if it just starts to pump, people are going to start to get like irrational and chase those greens. When everybody's euphoric and things are going, like, people get irrational. They start to leverage against their liquidity. They'll put it up and borrow against it and do all sorts of irrational things, thinking that it's just I'll easily be able to get a 2x because things are running so much. I'll easily be able to get a 2x. When the charts are like this, man, I mean, this is 240x in the space of what? So let's do the little time thing here. When you're really in that phase of like euphoric psychoness, and I mean, this was, you could really, I mean, it didn't break its all-time high, but it kind of went all the way here for almost a whole year. But really, for like half a year, it was going absolutely crazy. So for a third of a year, it was going crazy. It did a 240x within a third of a year. So when things like this are happening, and within a week, you're seeing like, look at some of these candles here, man. Within a week, you're getting like, a double every week, a double. And this is in something like Matic. So this is in an actual L1. So when it's in a meme coin like Teddy Bear, it's just, the dynamics are going to be so interesting. So interesting. So, it has, I think, almost the most amount of wallet holders. But yeah, have a look at my thesis on why I believe teddy bear is going to be number one. But yeah, definitely this is the ace up the sleeve, which makes it so it ticks all these boxes that Murad's talking about. But what Murad doesn't even know anything about is the Atropa ecosystem and the liquidity bonding and the liquidity flows that can occur within the Atropa ecosystem. That's what gives it the ace up the sleeve, which in my opinion can make it the number one meme coin in all of cryptocurrency. So meme coins this cycle have provided insight into the crypto narrative, participant fed up of VC grifts, insider dumps, and tech promises never fulfilled. We're really seeing that. It's also because we're seeing lots of 20-year-old like teens and people in their 20s, the TikTok generation, really seeing like, well, I don't want to wait 20 years. I don't want to wait 50 years to get a 2x on the S&P 500. I don't want to wait 10 years to get the multiplications that I got in Bitcoin. I want to get it now, and I want to get it in the shortest period of time. And I know that if I follow this VC money, I'm getting screwed over. People are realizing they're getting screwed over. So the market is getting smarter. Kids are smart, man. We think that they're dumb, but they're pretty smart. They're pretty smart because they're just yeah. You really, I see it. I'm like, man, some of these kids really put me to shame. Like, people say that I'm smart, and I'm really, maybe it's just because of the way that I speak. It makes me sound more intelligent than I actually am, but I really do not consider myself to be smart or intelligent. But these kids, they're learning that, how can I win? So they're going to learn also that even meme coins is like, for the most part, it's a losing game. So, okay, yeah, you can get that lottery 1 in a million and get your 10,000x, but it's very, very rare. Are they going to want to go for something where the chance of getting like good X's with low risk, they're going to come to places like the Atropa ecosystem? In my opinion, that's really the sort of the future that I see with the Atropa ecosystem. So as such, and I believe that's what Maria's trying to build as well. So, these are some of the things that he was talking about in the early days of the chat log. As such, meme coins like Teddy will continue to prosper into the cycle. So Richard himself even caught onto the meme coin phenomena and infamously tried to dub Ink a meme coin to garner attention to the meme coin traders. Did anybody notice, by the way, that when he did his tweet, he didn't mention ink? And I was like, oh, he didn't mention ink. Does that mean we all have to dump ink? Like, I wondered why the irrationality of the market didn't take over on that one. So the Pulsechain community has rallied around Teddy Bear being its main mascot, which it can be proud of. It certainly can. It has outwitted, outplayed, and outlasted every other meme community on Pulsechain. While volume on Pulsechain is much lower compared to its counterparts, it should be noted that Pulsechain communities do not sell for quick flips and are true builders who believe in the long term and hold out for much higher prices. So 100x plus. And this is also something, the long-term delayed gratification, it is something that's exemplified within, or definitely more so within Pulsechain. Of course, people still want to sell on top of each other. This is perfectly normal. This is the nature of markets. But for the most part, we definitely, as a totality, have more of a long-term delayed gratification mindset because of the ethos of Richard Hart, because of what he's taught us, and we've been attracted to his ideologies and his philosophies. So we also, it's exemplified in our holding patterns. So this is something that the community should be proud of. As we have seen long-term community builders such as Hotonomics and IMB Roots contribute immensely to the project. So with merchandise, constant shilling, and the idea of belief instilled in their communication. Teddy Bear itself is heavily bonded to LPs of Atropa and pDAI due to Hart's law and acts as leverage on pDAI to the upside and downside. This in turn attracts traders and volume in times of volatility, as we have seen Teddy consistently be the most traded coin within the Pulsechain ecosystem for the last year. Maria has created an interweb of LPs that will help Teddy, pDAI, Atropa achieve its ultimate goal of pegging pDAI. Maria, importantly, has doxed himself and has even met community members in real life and agreed to be recorded in YouTube videos. Has he? Maybe in the sense of being a recording for like the Amsterdam. So Maria has previously worked as dev for NASA and Microsoft and is in support of Richard's peg. Richard is fully aware of Teddy Bear and Atropa, as it has been the dominant volume on Pulsechain. I had no idea that I was quoted in this. Thanks for this. Coexistent Stephen has brilliant information on Maria's web and ecosystem, which is an ecosystem of itself that shows Pulsechain's technical capabilities. I don't know how well I show the technical capabilities. I'm doing the best that I can. But again, if anyone wants to help with these things, I would love to start collaborating with people. I believe that Teddy will continue its success and has a potential to reach 500 million market cap. FUD, that's FUD. 500 million cap is FUD, alone due to the strength of its community and its current outreach. Definitely a billion even, I would say, is conservative. So keep in mind, Pulsechain is an entirely retail chain, and retail should be arriving to the crypto market in droves once Ethereum reaches all-time highs. Pulsechain also has one of the largest army of content creators in crypto. The meme itself, Richard's Louis Vuitton teddy bear, to me represents the absurdity of late capitalism, in which hyper-materialism in Western and some Eastern economies has been commodified and consumable. That is a really, really, really cool statement. The absurdity of late capitalism. That's a really, really cool comment. I love that. I would completely agree with that. We are in the late stages of capitalism because we're seeing hyper materialism, which is like a reflection of the absurdity. We're seeing the same signs that we saw at the peak, or in the decline of the Roman Empire. In the decline of the Roman Empire, all the signs of like excess and greed and like hyper materialism that the Romans were exhibiting at just before their collapse, we're also exhibiting now within our Western society. So Richard definitely is a thinker and famously played on the theme of hyper-materialism with his outrage marketing era of design items and luxury goods. I cannot believe how much people got sucked into this. I cannot believe how much they really got sucked into this. And really, like, even to this day, Hexologist showed a video of like some dude, who was selling some like some course on like how to get women or something, and he was saying like, you know, what a fat piece of shit Richard Hart is. Like, this guy's a scammer. Everyone in Hex is like a dumb idiot piece of shit. And I'm just like, man, a lot of these people, if we break all-time highs, a lot of these people are going to be eating their words. I'm not going to say anything because that's not my style. I don't really like, we all say dumb things and we all make mistakes. But I know that those people are going to get crucified by this community because there's going to be people who are going to be keeping receipts. So these people who are opening up their mouths, I mean, you know, it's an endless cycle of like us, you know, when things are down, it's just this endless cycle, and they're going to eat their word. That's why I don't even waste my time like going into that energy, because it's really just that, you know, you say something on them and then we're going to have another down, and they're going to say something on us. It's like, it's just never ending, right? So, but it gets the eyeballs. So other influencers have later used this idea to amass global following. So Richard Hart is truly ahead of his time. The case for Teddy to become a multi-billion-dollar coin is very possible with the help of pDAI. As well documented, as pDAI reaches closer to a peg in which why Pulsechain was created by Richard, this will create an immense amount of volume due to liquidity bonding alone, which could skyrocket Teddy conservatively. Here we go. Conservatively to 2.5 billion. I like what you're saying here, Asian Quant. With Teddy at 50% discount at time of writing. Could go lower. We could be looking at Teddy to achieve a clean 30x from here before a pDAI peg. If pDAI pegs, I don't even want to mention the astronomically high market cap Teddy can achieve. I mean, I'm still maintaining my thesis that pDAI pegs towards the end of the bull market, and we end up seeing something like this, where let's say this is heading towards the end of the bull market and pDAI pegs, but because pDAI pegs, we're going to see like another like everything else is collapsing all over cryptocurrency, but everything on Pulsechain just keeps exploding and popping off. Will it be for like 200 days? Maybe, maybe not. I even saw something of Richard talking about like the sacrifice funds. He was talking about, oh, we have all these stable coins in the sacrifice funds. Like, wouldn't that really be interesting to deploy in the bear market? I wonder what would happen if that gets deployed in the bear market. Wouldn't that be really, really interesting? So, I mean, you want to talk about marketing as everything is collapsing everywhere. Could we see a scenario where pDAI pegs towards the end of the wider cryptocurrency bull market, but then we see, because of the peg, we see like this hyper cycle within Pulsechain, which is like it's a bit of a dream within cryptocurrency, this super cycle that we hear about everywhere. Are we fully liquidity bonded to everywhere? Yeah, I'd say that we are, but also we are a little bit decorrelated in some ways as well. So I think that there is a possibility that, who knows, we could see like the pegging of pDAI towards the end of the rest of the cryptocurrency market end cycle, and then that gives us like this rocket boost, which I've been hypothesizing on, which is like, you know, when they go to break the atmosphere, I don't know if they still do it with the SpaceX, the rocket goes up and then there's all the fuel, and then basically they detach from all that fuel, then it gets into like second stage to break through the atmosphere, or obviously crash into the firmament and get deleted from reality, whatever way that you want to look at it. So yeah, that would be really, really interesting if we do see something like that. Put it that way. That's why, again, the longer it takes, in my opinion, for us to really pump, the better. The better. If we're the last to pump, it's really just the best thing. It's really the best thing. If Solana's collapsing, if Ethereum's collapsing, if all the other chains are collapsing and all the other tokens are collapsing, and only Pulsechain is pumping, like, wow. Not only is that phenomenal marketing, it's also a place that people will come to. People will come en masse into Pulsechain just to take advantage of the gains. Then once they get here, there's going to be a percentage of those people that are really going to start to learn about what Pulsechain is. And then the city is going to grow wider and wider. It's going to get bigger and bigger. So factors to consider for Teddy's success are Maria's continued support for Teddy, the community at large continuing to operate and market itself, Richard's support of pDAI, and Ethereum to reach all-time highs. I personally do not have any doubts of these factors wavering. I believe it is no coincidence that Richard has ended up on Interpol's list. I also believe it's no coincidence, as he is creating a stable coin to compete with the US government dollar. Yes, I would totally agree with you on that one, Asian Quant, because it's the same as what they did to Julian Assange when they couldn't get Julian Assange. When he revealed the corruption of the military-industrial complex, they basically tried to use the different policing forces of the world to try and get him. So he was locked up for so long essentially imprisoned for a long time until he was released. So this is what they do. And if Richard is behind this, if pDAI pegs to $1, we have created something that's revolutionary. And I think people really underestimate the impact of that and what that actually means. And I mean, Maria is building a Federal Reserve. Maria is building the logic of the Federal Reserve on the blockchain. He stated this in the chat log all like last year when he had that interview. He stated it in the chat log. He's creating all the instruments of a financial ecosystem on the blockchain in DeFi. No one has ever done this before. It hasn't happened anywhere in all of cryptocurrency. Like, why is Raoul Pal not talking about this? Why are the finance guys not talking about this? They don't know about it. Once Raoul Pal starts to find out about this, once these guys actually start to find out about this and like, hang on a minute, this world that I'm so familiar in, this world of like liquidity flows and commodities and stocks and bonds, and this world that has been transplanted on the blockchain and has been replicated in a decentralized financial system that anyone can participate in at the ground floor. And it's based on the logic of those, but it doesn't need, it seems to be that it doesn't actually need, it doesn't need like the levels of like, all that stuff is really constructed too, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but it all seems constructed as well. It's all just like, oh yeah, we have this war now, so let's go into like gold because it's like a safe haven. Or like, oh, the stock market is dropping, so that means commodities are going to start rising. And, you know, we're going to invent this narrative about why commodities are going to go up and the stock market's going to go down. But really, it's just about, okay, we've probably had enough profits here. Let's take it out and start putting it into here, which is really low. And then let's take the profits of this all the way up. Let's take it out of there and we'll go back into here as this has come back down. Like, that's what it is. And then there's just all these invented narratives around it. And this is something that Somi has also philosophized about quite a lot, which is one of the reasons why I've really resonated with him. And I think a lot of people have really resonated with him because I think we've all seen that, we've all felt it, and really like it's just becoming so blatantly obvious. So now if you can replicate that without having to do all the BS narrative, and it's just replicated by the logic of the blockchain, by the logic of the mathematics of the blockchain, then that's something that's extremely, extremely powerful because we can basically dictate those flows within our own ecosystem of the Atropa ecosystem on Pulsechain. So that's really why I'm so mega bullish. So it raises the question, will Donald Trump save him? We know that Elon's team and possibly Trump knows Richard's people. CZ has evidently also been in communication with Richard, but that's a story yet to be finished. I find this very fascinating. I think the speculation behind this, it's like these... I saw, again, like another tweet by... there was something by Alex Jones, and he was talking about Robert Kennedy Jr. He's like... He's basically telling Robert Kennedy Jr., go after Big Pharma, like, get rid of these bastards. Because these bastards, make no mistake about it, that's all that they are. They are greedy pigs that do not care about humanity. All they care about is enriching themselves and enriching their shareholders. That's it. They are, as human beings, they are vile and they are demonic. They represent all that is bad in humanity. However, just because Trump goes and tries to destabilize those forces, it doesn't mean that we're safe from those forces. It just means that the next wave of humanity is going to, it's just in us, right, as humans. So the real solution is to change the consciousness. That's the real alpha solution, which again, I'm like, to the best of my knowledge, there's a very, very small percentage of people that are actually doing this on the planet. We need to actually have the true consciousness. Only the true consciousness, which loves and cares for others, can create political systems and economic systems based on the laws of nature, based on caring for others, not a self-centered greedy political system and a self-centered, greedy economic system. This is the poison of the world. This is the for me, we're in the age of revelation right now. So I mean, they're all just books of prophecy. So yeah, for me, it's like these guys are like the Marvel team, or what are they, like the Avengers? These guys are like really fighting against that. So Richard's pDAI masterpiece is his ultimate fuck you to the scum centralized entities that have now co-opted crypto and truly embodies the ideals of cypherpunk. Teddy Bear ultimately stands to act as a levered bet on Richard's masterpiece, and Richard is a cypherpunk. Like he's really into it. So it is a bet I'm not fading, and I'm with you. I'm with you, Asian Quant. None of this is financial advice. I'm not certified. Okay, yep, not certified. I guess I'll also say this. I'm documenting my own thoughts. That's what I do on this channel. And opinions. That's what I do on this channel. They could also change if you enjoyed this write-up. So if you enjoy my videos, I should also apply this, because I need to say this, even though it's like in a disclaimer. I need to keep saying it. Follow and repost. I'll continue to do write-ups. All right. So yeah, Teddy Bear. What do you guys think? For me, I'm still I can't help feel that it's the I can't help feel that it's going to be the number one meme in Pulsechain. You can't beat the Atropa ecosystem on Pulsechain. That there is no other community that comes close to it. Tengang is exceptional in what they do, but they don't come close. They really don't come close. I would like to be proven wrong, because I mean, if something else shines brighter than the Atropa ecosystem, maybe it's going to make people like work harder and want to like fight more to make it better and do the research instead of just like buying things and expecting it to go up. So I think it could be really a good thing, but I don't see it. I don't see that. I don't see the level of. They don't have a dev like Maria working with them. They don't. That like Maria's just like a. He's on another level. He's on another level. It's very, very apparent. And I mean, it's also apparent in the way that he gets attacked, because if he's not getting attacked like that, then he's obviously not doing something right. So greetings from Tulip Mania Land, the Netherlands. Greetings, good sir. pDAI, Teddy Bear, Hex G Unit, of course, man. Thanks, Globetrotter. I appreciate that. Aaron, there is so much hate in the community, but I feel like Richard Hart says logical things that make sense, and I don't think he's a bad actor. I would agree with that, Aaron. I don't think he does anything. Oh, I mean, yeah, there was the outrage marketing stuff, so it's like, whatever. I mean, that was all part of marketing, right? So, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. For me, it's extremely obvious. It's self-evident that he's not a bad actor. It's self-evident. If you're just doing your research based on headlines, and all the headlines is all just the same shit from the same people spewing the same crap, then of course you're going to think he's a bad actor. If that's the extent of your research, then you're failing in your research. Look on the other side of the fence too. And I would also suggest that people on this side of the fence look on the other side of the fence as well. Be objective. I've looked on both sides of the fence. I've been very critical of Richard in the past. I was very critical of him in the outrage marketing phase. And I really had to have people convince me that he was just doing this deliberately. I didn't know that he was doing it deliberately, but it's just like anything, right? I just like, there's also a point, because our mind is like, what we have in there is how we think, how we talk, and how we act. So even if he was doing that as an act, it became an unfortunate consequence that it also became part of his like natural tendencies during that period. And you could see that. And those are the things that really turned me off, where it was like, okay, he's doing this thing. It's like acting, but I can really see that he's like talking down on these people like they're pieces of shit. And I don't vibe with that. I don't like that at all. But, you know, you listen to him in the Christmas special. It's a completely, like, you go back to the Richard from before that. It's a completely different Richard. So being that way, like, really stains your mind. And I notice it for myself as well. If I come up here and I'm like, you know, even if I'm on Twitter too much reading the negativity, it starts to stain my mind. It starts to make my mind feel negative too. So it's like, it's a very natural thing. So for me, it's like self-evident that he's not a bad actor. It's in his actions. But yeah, people formulate their opinions, and you can't change that. So only the results will change that. So large amounts generated from the peg will rush flow toward the rest of the ecosystem. I completely agree with that. So tequila in my veins. Salud to you, Ram. We have already won. Salud. Ah, man, I'm going to continue to hold on to that idea that we have already won. We're just going through the motions, right? We're just going through the motions. It's like, if you believe in all the religious scriptures are prophesizing a time where there's going to be a savior that comes to save the world. So in some ways, that is inevitably always going to happen. All the wars and the conflicts and the killing and the fights and the arguments, the hate, the division, none of that matters, because in the end, we're going to be united as one in the end, because the savior will come to save the world. That's what all the religious scriptures talk about. So in my mind, it's like, okay, it's already done. We're going through the motions right now. So I'm just trying to will that into existence by continuing to put out that positive energy. I feel exactly the same about Pulsechain. I feel exactly the same. It's like we've already won. We're just going through the motions. That's why I don't get affected by the charts. I don't get affected by the candles, even in the slightest. So what's going on, Matty? And hey, Ram, it's too early for you to be drinking tequila, if I'm not mistaken. So you would have just been waking up, bro. Howdy, Matt. Pulse pegged to Binance. What was our verdict with that intriguing post? Pulse pegged. Yeah. I mean, look, man. I think when I saw that and I saw CZ going to jail, CZ would have had probably a wake up moment of he thought he was on the one team, and then he realized there are these forces here who don't want cryptocurrency to win, and they're against me, and I need to be with people. It's like Game of Thrones. It's like, okay, he's fighting for his own kingdom, but eventually he needs to find an ally to help him prosper in his kingdom. So even though he's a centralized exchange, he's probably not best friends with Richard Hart, but he's probably like, you know what? Our desires align. My kingdom, for my kingdom to succeed, we need to make an alliance against winter is coming, right? Winter is coming. So yeah. And the red wedding. The red wedding. Gary Gensler, that little scumbag with the red wedding, just just dogging everyone, DeFi is really good. Cryptocurrency is great, talking about this, but then he's betrayed everyone because he's a puppet. He's been bought out, and that's his legacy to the world. Would you want your grandfather to be that kind of a person? Would you be ashamed of your grandfather if that was his pages if that was his story in the pages of history? Would you be proud of a grandfather that was a sellout, that sold out to the man, that basically bent over for corporate overlords? Would you be proud of that, or would you be ashamed? I think in the future, when the world is becoming one, I wouldn't be anything. I'd be like, well, he was just a consequence of his mind. But Gary, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace, and you and all the SEC puppets will look back on this time and go, I was working for the wrong team. I was playing for the wrong team, and I was doing the wrong thing, thinking that I was doing the right thing. You'll look back on these times and really reflect and repent on that. So, Sleepy J, I had to say it, man. I had to say it. So, bullish on the bear, also on the G baby. Yeah, man. So, I mean, yeah, all of this stuff is just beautiful. We got dips. We got dips. The bonding now is clearer than ever. The bonding is clearer than ever, but obviously the Atropa ecosystem is look at this. I mean, even Atropa Pt I now is they're basically lockstead. If we go down to this point, let's go down to the 30th of August. It's moved up 20x. I mean, this is why it's do you want to be married to an ideology, or do you want to win? Because Richard Hart has never, ever, 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 ever come out and said, don't buy anything else, only buy the tokens that I create. He's never said that. He's never once said that. So there's it's almost like people are self-defeating themselves by staying locked in that position. And if you want to, that's fine. If you're a maxi, that's totally fine. I'm not against you, even in the slightest. I really admire and respect you, but it's everything's outpacing the core coins. Everything, without exception, on the chain, basically. And if I'm looking at this going, well, I'd rather be in something where I'm going to get a 20x in the same amount of time. So that's from the 30th, 31st. So from here, they're liquidity bonded now. That did just less than a 200%. This did a 2000% in the same period of time. So do you want to win, or do you want to just stay like fixed with a fixed mind? And there's nothing wrong with that again. But it's just like you can't complain then. There's no one to blame but yourself. There's no one to blame but yourself for that. That's the thing. So it's a really difficult position to be in, because yeah, on the one hand, it's like, what an admirable quality to really stay true to the thesis. But my plan was always to adapt to go with the flow, to adapt with the market. I start with a plan, but the rules of the plan is to adapt and fluctuate with the market. So if I'm seeing the market doing this, if my thesis was I'm just going to hold core coins, but then I'm seeing everything else move more than the core coins, then it makes a lot of sense to move out of the core coins and into something else. So again, in that same period of time, what kind of movement have we got in teddy bear? So, I mean, look, really like lockstead, the same drops, the same like greens and reds, almost lockstead. So it's just like, I mean, yeah, why would I stay in that? Like, and anyone who's like guilting you against that and making you feel like a fool for like selling your core coins, I mean, it's pretty obvious to see what their intentions are, right? Their intentions are not for you. Humans are fundamentally self-centered. When you understand the human mind from this perspective, it's so easy to see people's intentions. And it's not a criticism. It's like, it's just the way that it is. It's like, okay, tomorrow morning, the sun is going to rise in the east and it's going to set in the west. It's just the way that it is. And in that same way, humans are fundamentally self-centered. The human mind is fundamentally self-centered. Those people talk like they're talking for your benefit, but they're really, really not. They're talking for their benefit, because as you hold, it enriches them. As they get more people in those tokens, it enriches them. And you could also argue that I'm doing exactly the same. You could also argue that. And to some extent, yeah, I would be doing that. But also, for the vast majority, I'm really, really, really not doing that. I'm really, really trying to project the idea that I'm not, because I don't even tell anyone anymore what I have, and I'm never going to tell anyone any more that I have anymore, because it's like people really like, as soon as I talk about something, they'll buy, and like, yeah, like, what's your favorite Atropa token? They're all my favorite Atropa tokens. I love them all. So teddy bear in that same period of time moved 1,000, 1,200. BFF that the late. I mean, BFF that the late. Also now, BFF that the light's a little bit different. Even teddy bear, I mean, it still had like, oh, hang on, we'll go to the 3-day. BFF that the late also, yeah, it's similar. But during that period of time, so when G Baby launched, it did a 1,600%. So across the board, some really, really good like reaccumulation zones within the Atropa ecosystem. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. So if anyone wants to, for me to look at a chart, but really, is there any point? Is there any point? So if you want me to look at something, I'm happy to look at it. But is there any point? Because they're all just going to be the same, right? I saw obviously Matt here talking about G Baby. Yeah, G Baby's great. Those are the things that I want to look for within the Atropa ecosystem too. I want to look for, okay, where can I get the most gains in the shortest amount of time? Everybody's looking for those things as well. But there's so many things within the Atropa ecosystem that I feel are long-term things that maybe people are overlooking. So anyway, conviction is the key. Came this far, no turning back. I agree, man. Row up. I've never seen you in here, row up. Nice to see you, man. So Richard Hart is the best founder. Glory will come to the best founder and best community. I completely agree with that, man. History is always on the side of the good guys in the end. In the end. What's going on, Crypto Stylist? Happy 2025 to you too, man. As much as I believe in Richard Hart, the outrage marketing era was not my jam. Glad the acknowledgement that era is over. Worked for Hex. Now we're playing a bigger game. Yeah, and he even acknowledged the flaws of that. But it did work for what it was, sadly. So G-Baby back to this price is mad. So yeah, G-Baby, that the gwat. Remember, this is the aftermath of birthdays, exes, and your cousin and mines. Remember, it's the aftermath of birthdays, exes, and your cousin and mines. I concur. Fuck you, Gary Gensler. Donald Pump status in full effect. The aftermath of birthdays, exes, and your cousin and mines. I'm not sure what you mean there, Ram, on that particular part of the statement, but yeah. I mean, even fuck you, Gary Gensler. I can't even say that, man. I can't. He's just a dude that's living as a slave to his mind, like each and every single one of us on the planet. He's just a dude living as a slave to his mind. We're all living as slaves to our mind, according to what we have in there. So he's doing exactly the same. And in his mind, he probably thinks he's doing the right thing. He's probably thinking, okay, well, I want to save my family. I don't want my kids to work. How can I do that? Well, I can be a corrupt piece of shit, and I can shill, like, I can basically go after the enemies of my friends, and yeah, they're going to pay me out. They're going to look after me and my family forever. I mean, isn't that what everybody does? Isn't that what everybody's doing? Everybody just looks after their own family. I don't see that as like, that's not the way forward for me. Our family, looking after your family means like everybody is your brother and sister. So Gary Gensler is also my brother. He's also my brother. We all came from the same root. We all came from the same mother and father, which is the great universe, which is the great soul and spirit. There is no separation. It's an illusion. It's not real. So I can't even hate on Gary Gensler. He's just but if he was my grandfather, I'd be like, oh, damn, just like my current grandfather, he loses his shit and everyone cringes. So what's going on, Landscraper? All right. So yeah, those are the things that I would look for. So have I got G Baby That the Gwat up here? No, it doesn't matter. So yeah, G Baby That the Gwat. So salute to Gary. I'm Gary. That's it, Ram. We all got a bit of Gary in us, don't we? So yeah, same dynamic. So this is down to Atropa looking at the inverse relationship. So I just want to, I'm pretty sure I haven't looked at, oh, it's still very much, I believe it's very much the same, but it's slightly different. So TSFI, I'm not going to look into that now. I've looked into that in the past. So God damn, it's itchy nose. Okay, so how to find if a token is mintable. So I mean, well, one way is to just pretty much wait for someone like myself to stream about it and say, hey, this is mintable, or like ask in the Telegram. But I think getting to know these things on a very basic level is only going to serve us for the future. The more that we can get a grasp of how this system works ahead of the other people that are going to be coming in the future, the more advantageous it's going to be for you, because you're going to have knowledge or superior knowledge as it's going to be in your benefit to have the superior knowledge. So, knowing about where the liquidity flows are, for example, that's an edge that you have over newcomers. So newcomers, they might look at this and go, oh, look, Maria's launched this new token. It's, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to ape into it. And what happened? So with the HotX token, yeah, Maria dumped it because we didn't realize that he had like the majority of the holdings. So he was selling it down, and he's doing the same with Hux. So it's not advantageous to not know. It's advantageous to understand. So in the same way, I would really encourage people to figure out these things because it's so easy, and I'm showing them again and again. It's actually really, really easy once the systems in place are so easy. So all I've done now is I've taken one of the new tokens. So I just took which one did I take? Tellers. So Tellers, and you can do this with all of them. I've done it with Tellers, and I've taken the contract address. I've copied it and pasted in liquidity pools versal.app. What's the liquidity like? Okay, there's like no liquidity. I think maybe, did Maria create this liquidity pool with Monet? I'm pretty sure I saw one. He's got Monet. Interesting that he's starting to use He did. Wow, he did a little pissy liquidity pool with Monet. Wow, and he put 25% of the liquidity in there. And that was the first liquidity pool that he made. So the value of TLRZ, so that's quite interesting, right? I mean, you could, I don't know. I just from initial observation, it's like, oh, I could buy like pretty much all of this supply. And if Monet Money moves a lot, then I've got a leverage play on Monet Money. So yeah, I mean, shit. It's probably even too soon to have a look at the chart because it was created today. So, but yeah, if it's going to be the same as BFF to G Baby. So G Baby moved. like multiple X's more than BFF in that same period of time. Of course, there was a lot of liquidity that flowed into it. But basically, yeah, you could, I mean, this is one way of playing it. That's 25% of the supply that you could earn on this. But I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. I don't know what its intention is for. All I know is that it was created in this. I don't even know about this new factory. I don't know anyone that knows anything about this stuff. So before all the tokens, you would see like, okay, who made it? Atropa Dev 414. Then there was a time where it's like Token Factory 43B, 430B. Now these are like Token Factory 4354. I don't know what this means. I have absolutely zero idea, like literally zero idea. So again, I'm like, please, somebody like learn these things with me. But yeah, no one wants to learn, which is a pity. I'm kind of hoping it's going to give me some sort of edge in the future by knowing these things and having the advantage, some kind of advantage over this new financial system that's being built. So yeah, okay, what else do we have a look at here? So first of all, tellers, is it mintable? So this is one way to see. So, well, okay, what the token supply there is 6355, so 635,000. I mean, already it's basically 5x'd on that. So it's nearly 3 million supply. So obviously that means it's mintable. So that's obviously one sign where the initial supply is different to the current supply that you can see. Who are the holders? We would have a look at this. Who are the holders? So that's probably the money. Maria's owns 18%. Zero BE owns 11%. But I'm assuming it's mintable. So, okay, how else can I figure out if it's mintable? So now this website, app.ddorb.com, and then you go to Pulsechain. I've actually signed into it. So when you sign in with you just make up an account and you sign in. So you can actually, if you guys do this, if you press on decompiled, YOL, and TAC, it's going to have like a little, little lock, a little green key lock there. So you won't be able to see it. It'll just be like, I think just like, basically incomprehensible. It'll just be random numbers or something. I can't remember. So you could have a look at the code and be like, oh, okay, I can work this code out. But if you can't work the code out, if you're like me, where you're not really a coder, you have a very basic understanding. One way that you could do it is you could use ChatGPT, and you could say, hey, ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, can you please tell me what the following contract does? It is a PRC20 cryptocurrency contract on the Pulsechain blockchain. They are like ERC20s. ERC20 contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Can you tell me what it does and can it be minted? Or can you tell me what it does, what it seems to be designed to do, what its functions are, and can it be minted? I mean, you could really just go, okay, can you tell me if this could be minted, and just copy and paste and press enter. You could also just do that. But I want to like try and figure out a little bit more about it. So what does it do? What does this contract do? So the key functionalities, and this is where it's going to be cool to see the comparison of this as well, by the way. So key functionalities, it's basically the token features. You can see the balance of the allowances, the total supply, the metadata. So as this loads up, the other way that you can find whether it's mintable or not is with this same website. You get the ABI, and then we're going to copy and paste this ABI, and we're going to go to this mint scgui.aff.icu plus. I'm going to copy and paste the ABI here. We're also going to copy and paste the token address. Like, this is how easy it's being made for us guys. It's being made so easy. This is why it's like, yeah, it seems like a mistake not to even try to learn these things. So what's going on, PulseX Reflections? Grok AI on X is better than ChatGPT. Nice. Let's put that to the test. I'll copy and paste the exact question into Grok AI and let's see what it has to say. So save. Done. Now, it's basically this. What's the parent of this? So I want to see what the parent token of this is. Call the parent. I wonder if the parent is actually duplicate this. So Grok AI is better. Yeah, please like and share this around. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for interacting. The likes are really helpful. It helps spread the awareness of the Atropa ecosystem, Pulsechain. All right, so let's see what this parent is because I'll be very, very curious. Okay, so so the parade. So basically, it's like, all right. Yesterday we saw that the dysnomia federal monnaie, the parent of that was the federal deposit insurance, and I think the parent of the federal deposit insurance was did we see if that had a parent? Let's have a look. It did have a parent. What was the parent of this? So it's almost like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what it means to be the parent. Just FYI, I really have no idea. Please enter a valid contract address. Why is that not valid? I don't know what it means to be the parent, but it seems like Maria's creating a token and then like an offshoot of that token and then an offshoot of that token and then an offshoot of that token. But that's just based on an assumption of what parent means. There might be some sort of like, there might be some like coded thing that parent means. Okay, so yeah, the parent of this is the Federal Reserve. So, and I'm quite sure the Federal Reserve doesn't have a parent. So it's almost like we have the Federal Reserve, which leads into this, which leads into this, which leads into this, which leads into this. So it's like, where is TEFED? Reserve TE. Yeah, no parent on the Federal Reserve. So it's almost like the Federal Reserve could be the top of the pyramid, and then these are like the things that are the branches that lead down from the pyramid. So like what's the function of the Federal Reserve? What's the what's the functions of the Federal Reserve in the real world? And again, this is something that I'm going to learn because I like this sort of shit. So, but these days I'm not taking care of my body well enough, so my energy levels are just honestly they're trash. I'm not going to lie. My mind is also garbage, total garbage at the moment. It's been this way for quite some time also because I'm not taking care of my body. It's a vicious cycle. God damn this itchy nose. Why? All right, so yeah, we have. So just going back to tellers, just to get a feel for like what does this mean? So is this mintable? All right. So we know here the functions here. So read is basically like, okay, I'm going to see what's there, and then write is I'm going to interact with the blockchain. So it has a mint function, so it's a mintable token, and obviously we've seen that because it launched with 635,555, and it has 2.9 million tokens now. So it has been getting minted. Do I know how to mint it? I do not. Would I be able to figure it out? Yeah, I'd probably be able to figure it out. How would I be able to figure it out? I guess you'd need to figure out how to read the code. So now, what is this telling us? So this is telling us it's going to show us these. So look at this. Now, these are the functions that we've seen there. Burn. It doesn't say anything about mint there. So we can transfer, approve, publish, custom features. Mapping. This maps addresses to a something UINT8 value, which appears to represent access rights or statuses. For example, in publish, it checks if HA is greater than or equal to 100. Okay, that's interesting. Parent and withdraw addresses. These could relate to specific permissions, external calls, or withdrawal mechanisms. Can it be minted? Yes, it appears that the contract supports minting, as seen in the function 0x. The code path checks if the recipient address If so, increases the total supply by the da-da-da-da, effectively. Conditions for minting. Only the address 0x0 can mint tokens, suggesting minting is either reserved for specific use cases or restricted to the contract owner or special roles. So role-based logic. It uses the HAR mapping for access control. For instance, the publish functions requires a status of 100 or more for the sender. I mean, I know for a fact that there's no other community on Pulsechain that's doing anything even remotely like this. This is, I mean, I'm not a coder, but I mean, if you're just, and there's nothing wrong with this. There's really nothing wrong with this, but this is what gives me my faith in Maria. So if we use, say, for example, the Tang Gang, they're creating ecosystems around their token. They're creating communities. This is all brilliant. And they're like, this liquidity flows into this, liquidity flows into that. That's like, let's say that's the ABC of creating an ecosystem. The Atropa ecosystem is doing that. It's already doing that. But now it's doing all this extra stuff, like this coded stuff that I have no idea what it means. Building a Federal Reserve. I don't think anybody else is building a Federal Reserve anywhere in all of cryptocurrency. I don't even think anyone's even thought of the idea to build a Federal Reserve. And it's like, why has nobody thought about this? It's such a fucking genius idea. Why has nobody thought about this? Like, why not just literally replicate the financial system on the blockchain? Like, how does the financial system work in the real world? Replicate it on the blockchain with math and superior code. Just do that without all the BS. What a brilliant, brilliant idea. So key observations, a contract can mint. The parent addresses could serve as a dependency for external integrations or... So, okay, there we go. What does Grok say? Can I just copy this whole thing? Does it let me do this? I'll just, yeah, let's do it this way. And it all depends on how you ask the questions as well, right? So where's Grok? Is this Grok here? Here we go, Grok. Hey, Grok. Let's see what Grok has to say. So Grok is thinking, the contract you've provided appears to... That's cool. It shows colors and stuff. Standard token functions, transfer, balance inquiry, total supply allowance, approval. This seems... So the main functions and features, very similar. Public functions. This is cool that it shows the public functions though. I like that. Name and symbol, custom functions. So it has mint, burn, publish, claim. So this actually... it does seem superior. And the fact that it gives you these as well. So if I want to look into this more, or where was the mint? So the mint, it calls another function. So the 0x. So I could go, okay, how could I mint this? And I could do some investigating. And again, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't even know what I'm looking at. So yeah, people have been able to work this out. I haven't devoted the time to work this out. Do I want to devote the time to work this out? I don't know. So then obviously this is the this is the mint function here. So what's it doing? Message sender, address this, checks call status, propagates error. I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, I got no idea. Which kind of sucks. I wish I knew what I was looking at, but I'm sure you'd be able to learn if you wanted to, right? So what else was Grok saying? Can it be minted? Yes, but with caveats. The mint function exists, but its actual effect depends on the interaction with the parent contract. It might not directly mint new tokens, but could be moving tokens from one address to another, which could be seen as a form of minting if those tokens were initially locked or held by the parent contract. That's interesting. Okay, so in other words, this gives me a clue. How would I be able to mint this? maybe I need to, if I want to mint this, the way to mint this is to, so if I go to this one here, I'm just going to, whatever. Yep. So I can't, it's not going to let me, hang on, let me put less zeros because, yeah. So unable to decode the signature, unable to decode signature, as it was not found on the provided ABI. So contract call 88F. Is that what this one is? Is this 88F? Okay, yeah, this is 88F. Yeah, and okay, so if I'm looking at this then, if I'm looking at the Grok, what Grok was telling me, it's almost like, okay, I need to interact with the parent contract. So when we were looking at this, what was the parent contract? So the parent contract was it ended up being what? This one here, the parade before the interview. So maybe that means I need to get some of this token, and then I need to, or maybe I need to interact with this token to like approve something on this token, because this was how it was with Treasury Bill and all the tokens that were mintable one-to-one with the Treasury Bill. You would basically have to go to those tokens. You would have to approve first. So I'd like, for example, I would approve. Yeah, I can't remember how I did it, and I'm not going to sit here and try and work it out now. But if you want to work these things out, if you want to muck around with it, is it going to be advantageous? I have no idea. I'm assuming it's going to be advantageous, but I'm not looking at it from the perspective of it being advantageous financially. I believe inevitably it will be advantageous financially just by virtue of the fact of putting the energy in the system. So even if it's like, oh, I'm going to mint this token, but this token, like if I'm looking at this in terms of X's, and maybe this token was like not designed to go up like 10,000x, it was only supposed to be something that was supposed to be stable compared to this. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Then it's like, oh, well, I've wasted my time. But the reward for effort, you reap what you sow. The reward for effort will come somewhere else. That's been my experience with the Atropa ecosystem. That's been my experience with everything in life, where it's not an indirect financial result. It'll be like an indirect financial result. It's going to come from somewhere. This is the blessing. When your mind is big enough to receive, it's going to come. But if your mind stays narrow and closed, and it's only looking at this one individual thing and hoping that this is going to be the 10,000x, and if I learn about this one individual thing, is it going to give me a 10,000x? And if it doesn't, I really don't want to learn about it. I think that's the wrong mindset. I think just being integrated into this system and learning and understanding, it's going to give you the edge. It's going to help you see what's actually happening. And when you can see what's happening, then you can move faster on the things where, like for me, when G-Baby came out, I was like, yes, now I've finally gotten that part of the Atropa ecosystem. So it was like straight away, G-Baby in the know. It was like, this is like a derivative of BFF, and he sold the shit out of it, and he's called a bottom price, and then you just buy it, and then it's going to start to go up. I was like, beautiful, brilliant. There was the same thing that we saw with BFF, where he just said, buy, BFF, buy, BFF. I faded him, and I didn't buy. I chased the pumps. I thought, no, this is pumped too much, but he kept saying, buy, 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 and I didn't. I wasn't listening. Grok is very bullish on pDAI. Yeah, I've heard this as well. So this contract seems to be designed for a token system with additional layers for token management, possibly for a project involving multiple contracts where token distribution, burning, and perhaps governance or role management are key features. The interaction with parents suggests a dependency on another contract for some functionalities, which might be for a security, or to decentralize the token issuance mechanism, which might be for a security. Interesting. This analysis is based on the decompiled code, which might not fully represent the intent or full functionality due to the decompilation process limitations. I would have thought that too. I would have thought there might have been like, this maybe is not telling you exactly what the code is. Like, what's this address referencing? Is it supposed to reference a specific address? Yeah, who knows? So yeah, I think maybe I'll just go through the comments. If there's nothing else, I'll finish this up. So, hi, Stephen. This is a perfect video for us pDAI to $1 believers. Too many people are impatient and fuddled themselves by predicting what date it could peg. I agree, bro. And I was saying And I'm just going to hold to that position that long-term steady growth is going to be the best. It's going to be the best. Where can we... can I... I'm just going to get this, and I'm going to see if it is on... Because someone was challenging me to like bring up the receipts. Damn it. See, it's not even like Gecko Terminal just doesn't even like any of these charts, these pDAI charts. So yeah, on Gecko Terminal, it definitely went up to 60 cents. It went up to 60 cents on my Bayfection pumped as well because it was liquidity bonded. So that's why I'm like, it's not going to peg overnight. It's just absurd. It's too absurd. It's not just pDAI that's going to go to $1. It's going to bring the whole blockchain up. It's going to just have like it's just going to be an exodus of G2. It's going to be an exodus of G2. I have absolutely no doubts in my mind whatsoever. I think even though at large there's long-term delayed gratification mindset here, there's still going to be a huge portion, which I'm seeing all over Twitter, of expectation. And once the expectation is met, then it's like, wow, we've just had this like cataclysmic pump. I can go buy my Lambo and my Ferrari and my mansion now. The vast majority of people on the blockchain are going to be that. They're going to be that. So to just do it overnight, it's like it's going to just be the death of the blockchain. It's not logical. It's not logical. So yeah, it's like how bullish. I'm looking at this like, God damn it, I don't have enough money to buy more. Like I'm depressed that I can't buy more. That's the only depression that I have, that I can't actually buy more. That sucks balls because we're getting back down to like the 1 cent mark. Like how bullish, how amazing. If I believe in this narrative, then I can buy more. If I believe in Hex, then when it dips 85%, 90%, then I can buy more. That's what people were doing in the last bull run. If you believe, you buy more. That's the best time to be talking about it. That's the best time to be bullish. But it's always the reverse, isn't it? It's always the reverse. So if you can't say it, Steve, I'll say it for you twice as loud. I thought real men are from Mars, but yeah, I can't say it. He actually, I mean, literally is also my brother. He's really also literally my brother in every sense of the word. Try making an antihistamine before streaming. Some sort of allergy happening. Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's really, it's quite a phenomenal, frustrating thing. So why it only happens when I stream is beyond me. I definitely think it's some sort of like, I mean, I've got nearly 300 people watching this now. So there's people's minds on me and the things that I'm saying. And maybe that's like, it's like an expression of my body, like reacting to that energy of like, I don't know. It's like some real bizarre thing. Real men are from Poland. So the Polski. Atropa is the only ecosystem that's building reliably on Pulsechain. I love it. This is what Richard meant by saying, you want to see something done, you do it. I agree. Cookie de chocolata. I agree. So that's why it's really fun to talk about and learn about it. Poland has beautiful women. I would probably also definitely agree with that. So Atropa dysnomia community never caught up in the uptown FUD. No smut on their names, solid crew. GFM, I would agree, man. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And I think it's a real pity that there still is all these divisions with all these different communities on Pulsechain. It's like, imagine if they actually worked together and leveraged off each other. I saw Too Spooky come into the dysnomia chat the other day. And he was asking like, what are like the real obscure and exotic Atropa tokens? And I just asked, I was like, you know, are you doing this for benevolent causes? Because you're not down with the Atropa ecosystem. You've blocked me for telling you that Teddy Bear was being sold for Hex, and Maria told us that, so he didn't actually dump it, but you portrayed it as a dump, and I called you out for it, so you blocked me. So I haven't. Honestly, I mean, if I'm talking about it, I haven't let go of it, right? It's an attachment in my mind. So I was hurt by that. Because I really liked Too Spooky, and I still do. If I saw him, I'd shake his hand. It's like, what? We're going to be enemies now because of something on the blockchain? Like, who gives a shit about all this in the end? So he came and asked about that. And there was people that were like, you should really learn about the Atropa ecosystem. You should really know about this because it'll be like beneficial. And I agree. I think it would be like really, really cool for the two communities to like unite. And last Christmas, when I went in there and did I was in the Tangang community for so long, and the first post I did, it was like a little snapshot of me talking about like the unity of the blockchain. But because I was talking straight first on Atropa, I got banned straight away. But I was like, let's like unite all the communities. But people are not ready for that, right? People are not ready to hear those sorts of things. People really couldn't even see the core of the message because I mentioned Atropa. So obviously I was like categorized from that day on as like the Atropa guy. And yeah, it's really like it's a pity. So yeah, we cry foul, and he was crying foul as well in there. I get criticized about this and that, but it's like it's just cause and effect, man. And it's not to blame him because we also do it. But on the large, I definitely see that the Atropa ecosystem, the people in the Atropa ecosystem do it a lot less than the Tangang. They have attracted a different kind of people here that don't engage in that stuff as much. It doesn't mean that they don't, but they don't engage as much. So if you call someone out, they're gonna take those receipts. That's what the human mind is like, man. People remember that shit. They store it in their mind. They take a picture. We're just 5 sensors cameras. We take pictures of these things. If somebody insults me and wounds my pride, I take a picture of that instantly. That pain is stored in my mind. And then, even if it's a year later, 2 years later, you'll see it. People bring the receipts up. Gotcha, you bastard. I got your back. That's what the human mind is like because we're living inside of this picture world. So that's why there's no point engaging in it because it's just dead energy. He didn't mean just to launch shit coins one after the other. Yeah, he didn't. Exactly. So plenty of them in Bali as well. Yeah, definitely. If we're talking about the honeys. So Reflections tokens are the only real utility. Ivan on Tech even said, David, I would disagree with that. And I think in terms of utility for what do you mean though? Utility for DeFi, do you mean? Like DeFi utility, Reflections tokens? The only Reflections tokens that we have is, off the top of my head, is A1A, B2B, Pulsechain. Reflections tokens is when you're getting rewarded in the token itself. So whatever that you're buying, you're getting rewarded in that token. You're getting paid out in that token just by holding it. So yeah, there's actually not that many Reflections tokens on Pulsechain. So I'm not fighting Ivan. I think Ivan on Tech's brilliant, but I think he would definitely not be up to speed with even know what the Atropa ecosystem is. So pDAI under $1 is a dip, exactly for Tina. Anything under $1. Stephen, what do you think about Incognito token? Can you have a look on this on its LPs and CA? Thanks. Yeah, okay, why not? I'm only going to spend another maximum 15 minutes on this. So let's have a look. Incognito. I'd be curious on this. I know it rewards ink, but you got to be careful of all these stuff too. That's the thing. There was, like, we had this rug with the 414 token. There was all those like reward tokens that the guy did, and I did an analysis of it, and there was all these like tiny amounts of LPs, and he ended up rugging. Like he basically just used me, and it was like, oh, okay. Well, thank God I didn't come out shilling it, and I only did it because I thought he was a good dude. Well, I did it out of reciprocal bias, to be perfectly honest with you, because he gave me the tokens. I was like, oh, I feel like I need to do this, but I'm not going to be bullish on it. I'm not going to tell people to come out and buy it because I also didn't feel too good about it. Chop, chop. Taking its sweet ass time. So I'll have a look at the rest of these comments. So in all likelihood, the issue about your sinuses acting up has to do with the fabric over your microphone. Try finding a hyper. Yeah, I don't actually have a fabric over the microphone. So, but you're probably right. Yeah, I'm just because I'm got gypsy blood in me. I'm thinking it's some sort of like gypsy thing. So, man, come on. What's with the lack of loading? Nice to see you again from a different account. Nice to see me again. Are you talking about somebody else? Ocarante Cizebili from a different account. Pulsalorian got some good reflection tokens. Incognito. Oh, that's Pulsalorian, is it? Ah, man. Okay, Heinrich Hansen is saying Pulsalorian is rugging. So for some reason, this is really not wanting to load. I don't know why. Wait, which one? That I might have clicked the wrong one, right? So it should be this ink. There's like, I mean, this is what you need to look out for as well, right? So I just clicked the first incognito. I don't even know if that's the one you were talking about. I'm going to imagine that it's not. I'm going to imagine it's this one, which is part of the. I imagine this is part of the Pulsalorian. They don't seem like. I mean, they seem like benevolent actors to me. I mean, I could be wrong. Designed to benefit the holders. Da 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 da. Does it say anything about Pulsalorian to support the ecosystem, the Treasury Vault? Da 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 da. No, it doesn't say anything about Pulsalorian, but yeah. All right, so I just came here to get the. So you wanted to have a look at the liquidity setups. I mean, there's not much that I can say about these things, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, I guess the chart. You know, I'm not that type of dude, guys, where it's like, oh yeah, look at this chart, it's dropped this much, and there's not enough data here for me to go, yeah, I'm confident on this. I mean, if I was to look at this off the bat, I mean, all right, well, you know, it's dipped almost 70%. It had a pump out of the gates, which lasted what, a week. So the law of meme coins. So I had a pump, did a 70x, and now it's dipped 77%. So if you believe in it, it's like, great, cool. This is great. It's got nearly 1 million in liquidity. That's really good. What's the supply? 153 million is in liquidity. Then you could probably go, hey, all right, well, I'll now look at the holding patterns. Who owns all the tokens? How many tokens are in liquidity? The more tokens in liquidity, the more bullish. So there's 1 billion tokens. So what's that? Yeah, 15% is in liquidity. Well, 15.3% is in liquidity. So that's not too bad. And then what? Who are the big holders? Who are the big holders? Do we have like massive, gigantic holders, or are the big holders? I mean, yeah, that's alarming. Somebody owns, but I don't know anything about it. So this person who owns 6% of the supply, they're probably the dev. Maybe it's a dev team. Maybe it's a dev wallet. I don't know. You have 3.6, 2.3, 2%. Reasonably big. Reasonably big holdings. What does it reward? Inc. So, I mean, that's good liquidity. Nearly 100 liquidity pools, like fat liquidity with Pulsechain. That's always bullish for me. I mean, if you've got 300,000 of liquidity with Pulsechain, that's really good. And then with Bull, I don't know what Bull is. Inc, DAI, I'm assuming that's pDAI, PulseX. Yeah, great. Why not? Then there's a lot of random stuff. So I'm assuming Pulsalorian now if we're seeing Veda. I actually don't know anything about the Pulsalorian ecosystem. I have nothing against them. They seem all like good dudes from what I've seen. Yeah, why not? That looks good. It looks great in terms of like the liquidity. Is it a good buy? I have no idea. I'm not in the ecosystem enough. I don't know enough about it. So Pulsalorian, famous for his early tweet that Atropa was the shadiest token on Pulsechain. That but can you blame him for that though, Heinrich? I mean, I think a lot of people felt that way as well. And in those days, like the idea was that, oh, the devs should be doxxed. But does that even really matter? Because you get these devs who come out and dox themselves. And I mean, the ICO rush, it was like, oh, you know, who's the team? And look at their LinkedIn. And okay, yeah, they seem like a good team. But then they'll just rug you anyway. So it's like it also didn't mean anything. So yeah, it was. I think it's good to have healthy skepticism, and if he still has that same opinion, then I would question his intentions. But if Pulsalorian is saying, well, the Atropa ecosystem's shady and we don't know anything about it, and there's all these tokens that are being created, it's like, okay, that's fair. But if he hasn't pivoted from that statement, he still maintains that statement, then just out of a matter of principle, that's the type of person that I wouldn't want to be listening to, because their mind is not flexible and adaptive to the conditions. It's fixed and it's self-centered. It's only really concerned with itself. So I just would avoid that in general personally, but I don't know if he's pivoted his opinion or not. So I'm referring to DeFi and utility. Yeah, I guess I would disagree with Ivan on tech on that one. I think reflections and rewards tokens are certainly an element of DeFi that is a utility, but borrowing and lending is also an element of the utility that I would say is a very, very strong use case. Providing liquidity is an element of DeFi that is an extremely strong use case. And I think whatever the Atropa ecosystem is building out is going to be like the next level of what DeFi is going to be. So already launching another coin, Phoenix. All of these seem scammy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I got no opinion. So yeah, why not? How old is this token? What it's started at the start of the so yeah, basically it started in end of last year. All right, cool. So and no, Ivan probably has no idea about Atropa. Incognito website has a lot of info. That's cool. So yeah, if people want to look into it, look into the website. PXRS, buys and burns, Pulsex. Yeah, there's lots like that. One of my friends also just launched ones. I said, man, it's too hard to like launch these things. It's like, yeah. I mean, if people want to launch them and shill them, go right ahead. And there's so many channels that will shill them for you guys. I'm interested in, I'm in it for the tech. Am I really though? I'm not too sure. So I actually am in it for the philosophical representation of what this is. Heinrich blame Richard because the whole world calls him a scammer. Yeah. Yeah. And exactly, Puffy. So I think that's quite valid in that perspective. But if you're still calling him a scammer after he's come out, after he's done his talks, after you've heard the words come out of his mouth, after you've felt his nature in your heart, you're like, nah, man, this guy he's a benevolent actor. What's the goal of the Atropa ecosystem? Oh boy, that's a good question. And as a matter of fact, I might even just in the very old days of the chat log. Oh, those days of just like, stress is a byproduct of your brain learning something new. It's really like it's normal. It's people will often be like, oh, I have a lot of stress, so I can't learn this thing. It's normal. It's actually like if you're not feeling stress from learning something new, there's something wrong with you, because the feeling of stress is like the expansion of your mind. It's like new neural pathways are being created. It's like it's a normal like chemical reaction. But to get caught in the stress that's no good. And yeah, I'm not saying that I don't get caught in the stress, but yeah, learning that chat log. So here we go. Let me just bring this up. So because I want to see if he says, I'll take it from Maria's mouth, what the goal of the Atropa ecosystem is. So I'm going to bring up that slide. Hopefully that question was asked. Debunked. Well, okay. All right. So here we go. I mean, here we go. This is just revisiting the old days. Man, AI art. What a glorious thing. So Maria Rahel created the IRC, so he doxed himself. So I'm not going to go through all this. So the debunking of this. So basically, he's creating a financial system. So the legal tender. So it's like governments mint dollars. It can be drawn on the treasury bill and will have a specific purpose. So it's really cool to see that he was saying this a year ago, and now we're seeing it like be built out in front of us. Trust. So back different currencies. For example, Teddy Bear backs treasury bill. Mint function. So mintable tokens like MV were intended to help burn Pulse. That's interesting. Financial instruments, so assets that manipulate token values and ratios. So financial instruments, so it feels complete right now. That does it say goal in here? What you're doing. If you look at how down on Atropa prepared, the massive lot liquidity in Atropa is significant. Hang on, let me just in case. So if you did say something about the goal, it feels complete now as a gambit. It's winning. The lot liquidity set is designed to provide a token of a capital strategy that is ostensibly better than meme or even stable coins by retaining a fault bottom specific floor for buyers and a largely buffered loss on sales due to the buyer liquidity ratio. Tokens thus far represent the best of my capacity to define a legal tender complex financial instrument that satisfies all the requirements of the plays on money, including the fears associated with the absolute worst case scenario. So if there was, if you could read between the lines and say what's the goal of the Atropa ecosystem, it would be to create or define a legal tender complex financial instrument that satisfies all the requirements of the plays on money, including the fears associated with the absolute worst case scenarios. So it seems to be the goal is to create a financial system, a truly decentralized financial system on the blockchain. That's what it seems to be, the goals of Atropa. Also, some people say that the goals of Atropa is to peg pDAI to $1. That's another potential goal. Obviously, Maria burnt like tons of the Atropa liquidity with pDAI at the start when he bought 5 billion pDAI. The lock liquidities in the Atropa suggests... So lock liquidities, so yeah, burnt liquidities is buys for the public, are intended to cover a private public distribution strategy that honors either myself, long-term buyers, or early buyers. I suggest checking the ownership, renouncement, liquidity positions. So yeah, pDAI, I believe someone will show up in Pulsechain that can answer that. That was the goal on having more than one token from the launch. The Atropa was initially divided into a hedge fund, TSFI, a work fund, LOL, the savings account, down, and then the legal contract was set up as the initial non-mintable lock device. Man, it's just like he's saying it as it is, but still the brain cannot like fully comprehend and connect with that. And it's just so simple. It's so simple. It's like distilled down to the purest functionality. It's like code talk. The Atropa token was initially divided into a hedge fund, TSFI, a work fund, LOL, savings account, down, and then the legal contract was set up as the initial non-mintable lock device. Initial non-mintable lock device. There's got to be a better way of saying something like that. But basically, it's like a token that's set up, that's non-mintable, and in some way like locks the tokens together in certain patterns and certain liquidities. I mean, a hedge fund, what does a hedge fund mean for a cryptocurrency? But whatever it means, that's what TSFI is. Yeah, so very interesting. Does he say anything about the goal? How exactly it gets paired? Has a lot of options depending on the philosophy of what you're doing. If you look at how down Atropa are paired, the massive lot liquidities in Atropa are significantly less than the originator contract holdings for the token. Even as the stables track to $1, but every investment into down introduces a greater ratio for the contract originator. So he's spoken about this. The legal token incentivizes the purchase into down because it allows access to production quality assets like 2 that will always have greater liquidity than asset values. There's a potential to pave the way there to things like the FDIC insurance, which is what we just seen. That's cool. That's cool. So we have the FDIC insurance. So Maria has had this shit worked out, and we're seeing it get built up right in front of our eyes. So it's probably a good idea to even go back and, okay, what was he talking about? What's he saying back then? And really, again, go back on the old chat logs and then, okay, what's actually happening now? The holdings positions on down is intended to justify itself over time, as is currently at a significant loss from the invested capital. I think of Atropa and down like the originator checking and saving account, with the savings expected to see the interest over time. I don't even know what a checking account means. I know what a savings account is. So not through minting, but through purchase of the asset only. The operating word the ecosystem is aiming for currently is production. The idea all along has been to map out like a fluid constitution, the set of concepts and definitions that makes the ecosystems a good investment. And currently, whether a thus mapped out set of such monetary tied concepts can be considered production. Purpose. So this is the goal. I'm interested in an investment production with momentum. I hope that the liquidity locking currently placed the system moving forward, not entirely in any individual control. There are currently a number of situations that could occur as the network becomes more attractive. The ownership on Teddy Bear has been most proactive, and I could see it taking off first because of the profit to the large investors. So production quality LP pairs would mean in terms of mechanism, if 100% of an asset is placed on LP and that LP is transferred so as to be locked, so it's burnt, and then the asset is purchased back, it makes the LP asset production quality. So these are some of the things that we were trying to do with the dysnomia tokens, where you buy the token. So this is what he was trying to get us to do with affection. You buy affection, you bond it 1-to-1, you burn it, and then you buy back your affection. So then that makes it a production asset, production quality LP, production asset. Makes it production quality. But the threshold is less severe than that. Consider this third-party risk scenario. Imagining you have, for example, $1 billion in pDAI. You created your own asset. You locked 50% of your new asset with 50% of your pDAI and burnt that LP. In my opinion, you have created at that point a production quality asset that could be considered for pairing with the Atropa ecosystem. How exactly it gets paired is a lot of options depending on the philosophy of what you're doing. Yeah, this is cool to like. Being top holders of any tokens with this symbol is likely to see more Easter egg style activity in the future. The goal is to have a cushion versus crash as the stable tied assets in locked liquidity gain value. And this is something that you can see it in the chart. So look at how the goal is to have a cushion versus crash. Can you not see it in the chart? Is it not self-evident in the chart? It's self-evident in the chart. It's self-evident in all the Atropa charts, or the majority of the Atropa charts. It's self-evident. It's locked liquidity with pDAI. pDAI's moving up. It's cushioning versus crash. So could we continue to see this kind of trend line? I would say most likely. The fact that it's produced this so far, and there's no mistake to the proportions that he's doing these, that he's creating these liquidities in. There's no mistakes here. He's not just making these arbitrary numbers, with the LPs, making these arbitrary numbers with the LPs. Like this would be mathematically worked out as to what it's going to do in impacting the totality of the system as a whole. So it's Atropos. It's fated. It has a destiny. It's a fated destiny. It's a predictable outcome. And the predictable outcome is up and to the right. And so far, based on what he said a year ago, it's proving to be correct. So far, it's been pretty good. I still expect to introduce more Easter eggs in the future. I feel like it's an operational success thus far. So do I. I hope that as more people become more familiar with the platform, that I can see where the bar for production is and then meet that. I think the lock liquidity pattern in the active holders distribution clears the Atropa-orientated tokens as the best investment in crypto today. Who agrees with that? Who agrees with this statement? I think that the lock liquidity patterns and the active holders distribution clears the Atropa-orientated tokens as the best investment in cryptocurrency today. Who agrees with that statement? I definitely agree with that statement. Best doesn't necessarily mean the fastest X's. Best means the safest with up and to the right. Like what's the one of the best investments in TradFi is like the Magnificent Seven, the FANG, the big tech companies, S&P 500. Like they are the best investments within that, because they just keep printing money and then they just keep pumping those assets. It's like it's a hack. You can't lose if you've held those assets for the last 20 years or the last 10 years or however long they've been around. You can't have lost. And so I see the Atropa ecosystem in the same way, based on the math, based on the logic, based on like if Pulsechain pumps, brilliant. It's also going to pump the shit out of the entire Atropa ecosystem. If pDAI pumps, brilliant. It's also going to pump the shit out of the whole Atropa ecosystem. As new tokens continue to get created, it's going to continue to pump the whole of the Atropa ecosystem. It's like, it's brilliant. It seems like it's something that you can't lose. It really seems like that if you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing. So, cheers, Matt. Mr. Rock Jockey. I trust in Atropa and Pulsechain. They're all doing good for Pulsechain. I feel that way with Pulsechain too. I see them doing good stuff. So, yeah. The more reflections tokens I use, the more value they build in lock liquidity. Yeah, exactly. This is one of the beautiful things about A1A. So, yes, Sunny often gets criticized and mocked, and even somebody blames Sunny for the coexist dump. I was like, oh, poor Sunny. But I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, Sunny doesn't sell any of his tokens. Like he's just a phenomenally good trader. That's where he makes all his money. So HRS, cool. Hex Reflection has locked liquidity with wrapped BTC. Nice, David. So there you go. So yeah, there's lots of tokens. There you go. There's lots of tokens with tax and stuff. So I might just see where this goes. So what's the future? Let's see. Let's finish this up. I said, damn it. All right. I think we're making a case for the best investment in crypto. If that proves true, then we'll see improved asset inflow. Yes, I would agree with that. Improve asset inflow into the Atropa ecosystem, into Pulsechain at large. If you're looking for somewhere like Atropa is attracting that type of money. Atropa is attracting that type of money. So things will start to get interesting as more wallets of greater holdings get involved. Conversion into consolidated higher value tokens should cause an additional pump in the restrained supply chain. So in other words, like big holders that are probably going to... Big holders don't need to get the 10,000 X's. They might have a small percentage of their portfolio in there, but for the most part, they're going to go into the safer assets. They're going to go into the sure bets. So a sure bet, if Atropa maintains this kind of a chart, just the Atropa asset itself maintains a chart pattern like that, they're going to put their money into something like that on dips, and that's going to pump the rest of the Atropa ecosystem. So it's going to cause additional pumps in the restrained supply chain. So he's like, there's a deliberateness in the way that he's, creating the liquidities. That's the point where we see collapse every time so far in crypto. Where that's the point where we see it collapse every time so far in crypto. I hope to maintain a majority share that will afford the capacity to lock further liquidity as the bubble occurs instead of any massive securities exchange type withdrawal. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this performs. So yeah, that's the client. All right, let's leave it at that. Yep, let's leave it at that. Cool. All right, let's leave it at that. What a beautiful chart. I'm crying. Tears of sorrow. Or maybe not real sorrow, but willing to buy more pDAI, willing to buy more Atropa, willing to buy more teddy bear. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining. Thanks for interacting. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream, guys and girls. Share it out. Like, comment. It's always appreciated. Everybody, have a lovely day. Have a lovely night.